How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Bill, and welcome to UFO Files. Hope you have an awesome day, had an awesome evening. As you know, guys, the Roswell disaster was hushed underneath the carpet, and the RAF claimed it was some sort of a weather balloon, even though there is evidence that contradicts exactly what that was, along as with witness statements. So, what we are going to do in these videos, parts of videos, as it's going to be a multiple part series, so please make sure, guys, to drop a like, share, and ring that notification bell. You don't want to miss this. So what we're going to do is, we're going to tear off those band-aids, we're going straight for that wound, and we are going to talk about the Roswell disaster and what the government do not want you to know. Let's get into today's video. In July 1947, happened northwest of Roswell during a severe thunderstorm. Was it a flying saucer? Was it a weather balloon? What happened? Their answer is nothing for many years, until UFO leading researcher Stanton Friedman came across a story in the early 1980s, began to search for some information and witnesses. The research brought him to Roswell, looking for the public information officer who had been at Roswell Army Airfield in 1947. The officer was Lieutenant Walter Hott, and he still lived in Roswell. Remembered the press release orders from his commanding officer. Friedman's investigation also led him to many other, both military and privates, who had information to add about the Roswell incident story. Stepping into the picture was very strongly in the late 80s was Don Schmitt, Kevin Randall, and Tom Carey. Since then, Schmitt and Carey have dedicated their research into Roswell. The debris recovered from rancher Mark Brazel was gathered by the military from the Roswell Air Army Field under the direction of the base intelligence officer Major Jesse Marshall. On July the 8th, 1947, Public Information Officer Lieutenant Walt Holt issued a press release under the orders of the base commander Colonel Williams Blanchard, which said basically that they have in their possession a flying saucer. The next day, the press release was issued, that time from General Roger Ramey, stating it was just nothing more than a weather balloon. That was the start of the best known and well documented UFO cover-up. Once it became public, the events known as Roswell incident, the crash of an alleged flying saucer, the recovery of debris and bodies of aliens of otherworldly origins. They had to ensure the cover-up by the military was on such a magnitude so it shrouded itself in mystery for 70 years. Later, there were still more questions than answers. Books have been written, TV documentaries have been filmed, witnesses have come forward, skeptics issued rebuttals to the incident, and the debate continues. The International UFO Museum and Research Center, located at 114 Main Street, is a non-profitable organization founded by the fall of 1991 Walter Holt, Glenn Dennis and Max Littrell, opened to visitors in the fall of 1992. The UFO Museum was then organized to inform the public about what has come to be known as the Roswell incident, as well as all the other aspects of the UFO phenomena. Cooperation's mission's statement includes the goal to educate, not convince the general public about the Roswell incident and all aspects of the UFO phenomena. People from all around the world travel to Roswell, to what the UFO Museum has to offer. Some of the exhibits include information of the Roswell incident, crop circles, UFO sightings, ancient astronauts, and extraterrestrial abductions. These exhibits are designed to encourage visitors to ask questions and to think outside the box. This is what something the government do not want you to do, is to think outside that box that you are in, ladies and gentlemen. We have to ask ourselves, are what we being told, is this the truth or is this the lies? Would the government lie to us, the public? Let's take a close look to the beginning. On June the 14th, 1947, a rancher named W. Mac Brazel and his son Vernon were driving across their ranch land some 80 miles away northeast of Roswell, when they encountered something they'd never seen before. It was, as Brazel's words, a large area of bright wreckage made up of rubber strips, tinfoil, and rather tough paper. Metallic-looking lightweight fabric was scattered, shredded across the gravel and sagebrush of the New Mexico desert. Brazel didn't know what to do with the new formed items. how they had landed in the property. So on July 4th, he collected all the mysterious wreckage he could find. By the 7th, he drove to Roswell, delivering the goods to Sheriff George Willox. Willox was too confused. Seeking answers, he contacted Colonel Butcher Blatchard, commander of the Roswell Army Airfield, 509th Hopenside Group, located just outside town. Blanchard, stymied working his way up the chain of command, he decided to contact the superior, General Roger W. Ramsey, commander of the 8th Air Force in Fort Worth, Texas. Blanchard also sent messenger Jesse Marshall, an intelligence officer from the base, to investigate more thoroughly. Accompanied by the sheriff and Brazel, they both returned to the site and collected all the wreckage. As they tried to assert what the materials were, Marshall chose to make a public statement on the July the 8th. Marshall comments ran in the local afternoon newspaper, the Roswell Daily Record, alongside a headline stating RAAF captures flying saucer in ranch in Roswell. The body of the story contained a dramatic, memorable sentence. The intelligence office of the 509th Bombardment Group at Roswell Army Airfield encountered at noon today that the field has come into possession of a flying saucer. Apparently, it was better for the Air Force perspective that there was a crashed alien spacecraft out there than to tell the truth, says Roger Lanings, the recent retired curator of space industry at the Smithsonian National Air Space Museum in Washington, D.C. A flying saucer was easier to admit than Project Mogul. Aeneas adds a chuckle in his voice, and with that we're off to the races. After the close of World War II, a time when nuclear weapons cast a long shadow, telling the truth was not a priority, and there was remarkable, unusual events underscoring the situation at hand. Everywhere you looked in 1947, the global society and political chessboard was being redivided. The Soviet Union began to claim Eastern Europe nations for itself in a new post-war vacuum. Voices of the Americans started broadcasting in Russia to the Eastern Bloc, peddling to the principles of the American democracy. The US sent 2 V-2 rockets carrying payloads of corn seeds and fruit flies into outer space. The bulletin of the atomic sciences set the doomsday clock ticking, and the Marshall Plan was in the making to rebuild a war-torn Europe. A small wonder that in the heat of the summer that year, flying saucers became all the rage. On July 21, Navy seaman Harold Dahl claimed to have seen 6 unidentified flying objects in the sky near Murray Island in Washington State, Puget Sound. The next morning, Dale said it was sought out and debriefed by men in black. 3 days later, Dahl's sighting an amateur pilot named Kenneth Arnold said he had spotted a flying saucer in the sky by Mount Rainier, Washington. UFOs are unusual, Lerner says. They're simply unidentified things you see in the sky. We all probably seen them, and if you look enough, you'll probably eventually figure out what it is you're looking at. There would be a report in 1948 from the government about what was now being called the Roswell incident. In 1950, Frank Sully, a reporter from a Variety, wrote Behind the Flying Saucers, a book that detailed the alien encounters from the Pacific Northwest to the towns of Aztec and Farmington, New Mexico, where aliens were now said to be landing there to their aircrafts. By then, enthusiasm for flying saucers had spread everywhere from Belgium to Russia to Japan, and rumour had started as a convenient lie for the Air Force had become a distraction to the US government, which was now deep into the nuclear weapons monitoring projects. But there is no way the Air Force was going to admit what they was doing. Project Mogul was conducted out of Washington, D.C. and Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, with some high-altitude balloon launches taking place in the high desert near the state border with Texas. Typically, Project Mogul balloons sent into high altitude stretched 657 feet from tip to tail, 102 feet taller than the Washington Monument and twice as tall as the Statue of Liberty. As balloons rode into the upper jet stream towards Russia, a long tail equipped with the different types of sensing and listening devices trailed behind. But obviously something happened to this one balloon. Lorna says it came back to Earth and probably was spread across the wide area. And though much of the documentation about Project Mogul has now been declassified, Lorna says that civilian access to information failed to stop the lure of extraterrestrial life. Because the US government was now in a frenzy of nuclear testing, both in the South Pacific, later at the Nevada test site, the silence around the classified government programs left a certain segment of citizen suspicions. UFO sightings continued. Then we get to the late 1970s and early 1980s. At that period, saw a real spike in extraterrestrial interest, from the movies to the books and to other things. Movies such as Star Wars, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., plus dozens of books subject brought these aliens to the forefront of the public mindset once again. Suddenly there was rumours of regular extraterrestrial life on Earth, not to mention crashed spaceships. 2 alien spaceships crashing in New Mexico in June 1947, scattering their contents of tiny green crewmen across the landscape before long. Any secret government property, from nuclear sites to engineers' locations, were suspected to house deceased and imprisoned aliens. This was the most evident at Area 51, an off-limits airstrip and aircraft engineering and development facility inside the Nevada test site, 90 minutes north of Las Vegas. It was rumoured that the aliens from the Roswell spacecraft and the other crashed ships are being autopsied or slid into glass tanks containing gel-like preservations. The government wasn't helping to quell speculations either, as the most secretive site, they posted large, unambitious no trespassing signs, often when a reminder for those that have entered legally, use of deadly force is authorized. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please make sure to drop a like and a share and slap that notification bell so you get up to date when I post. I really enjoyed making this, and I really hope you enjoyed it. It's taken me absolutely ages to get all this information together, but I appreciate you watching to the end. Make sure guys to share this video around. As always, stay safe and stay awesome, and I'll see you in just a little bit.
Alright, kick back, relax, and grab yourself a beverage. A hop if you wanna just bounce to my leverage. The evidence, as they say, is in the pudding. So show me the money like my name was Cuba Gooding. It ain't fools.